Hi, my name is Darren Fink. I'm with Transfiguring Adoption. Transfiguring Adoption creates media and resources to help nurture and grow foster and adoptive families. And lately we've been describing ourselves as we give a hoot about kids so that we can go out on a limb for foster and adoptive families. And I was, as people have heard me before on interviews say, I was on the Twittersphere going through things and looking through tweets, and I came across Travis Lloyd, who he is just has a plethora of. I just got done telling him he's like a Renaissance man. He's done he does just about everything and does it well. So if foster adoptive parents are watching this, you need to pay attention to him because he does everything from being able to counsel with mental health. And he raps, and he's also a speaker, but he is a resource you need to pay attention to and get a lot of info from on here. So, hey Travis, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I appreciate you having me on. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, actually. Hey Travis, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, be happy to. Well, considering this is Transfiguring Adoption, my guess is you want me to kind of relate it to my background as a youth. And I guess we can kind of chronologically transition into my background as to how I've used those experiences to impact the world today. I am a former foster youth, and I experienced foster care for the first time when I was 9 after my parents divorced, and a vast array of intergenerational cycles really kind of tore us apart and broke each person down one by one, as a lot of your viewers and listeners probably have personally experienced or been involved in other people's lives. And I would say, if I were to paint a brief picture of that, that would be my mom came from a very, very messed up background. A lot of abuse and trauma in her background as a child that ended up kind of being recreated in our family cycles as well. My father was a little bit more stable, but also came from kind of an unhealthy background, alcoholic father, those types of things. And when things just fell apart, my sister, who's 6 years older, went to rehab, and I went to foster care. And I would say over the course of between the ages of about 9 and 10 to 14, my experience with the foster care and moreover the child welfare system ranged from a couple of emergency placements to some time in shelters, as well as being institutionalized for a month at one point. And I fortunately was able to find permanence with an extended family member that I never knew until I was a little bit older. So this is my version of adoption, although we kept it off of the books in order to simplify things. Actually, my aunt took me in when I was 14. I met her for the first time when I was 10. And she and my uncle used to actually forge my mother's signatures so that we would just not have to go through the court process.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So fun.
But that's kind of, in a very quick nutshell, my experience with the foster care and child welfare system as a youth. And then I would say as a professional, if we were to skip through the life of transitioning from youth to young adulthood to barely escaping prison, kind of living a dual lifestyle while like trying to be successful and learning how to have healthy relationships while also running the same cycles and the same background of what I always knew. Uh-huh. I'm sure that was very, very close to a permanent self-sabotage many times. But breaking through that finally at the age of about 23, I had graduated from college. and just really felt like there was a lack of fulfillment in my life. I was like, okay, I'm a registered nurse now. I finished my bachelor's degree. I'm working in a trauma center, and I was just bored. Like I worked my butt off and got through all of that just to get to this point, and I feel like I'm not impacting the world in any way, and I'm working 12-hour shifts, and I'm exhausted, and I have no happiness or joy in my life. What's the purpose? And that's when I had the opportunity to volunteer with a group of foster youth, and I started helping them understand their journeys and their stories. And in doing so, that's the first time I realized that I once had been a foster kid myself.
We're talking with a lot of parents here, and actually, I was just a while back ago a part of a panel of people that are getting licensed to become foster parents, and they put me on a panel to ask me questions and different things. And one thing that I'm constantly finding out is that newly licensed foster parents just aren't able to relate with the past and the trauma that you've gone through. Talk to those parents that are just looking into licensing or that are looking at it. What would you tell them looking at over your life? What would you want parents to know?
Sure. Well, I think in all honesty, a lot of it has to do with awareness, personal awareness, personal development. And the thing is that a lot of parents get into this thinking, oh, well, one of two things. One is, oh, we're going to be able to have children and we'll be able to love them and they'll love us back and we'll be a happy family. And that's one misconception. And a lot of people don't. Sometimes it's not always about being able to understand somebody else's trauma, but more so understand your own. Because the inability to connect with a child who's acting out as a result of trauma, to be able to recognize those behaviors, to be able to say, I get where this is coming from. This isn't personal. I need to respond to them in a certain way that allows them to connect with me, allows me to connect with them. In building that bond over that creates that consistency, that creates that fear, that diminishes that fear of attachment, and fights through the behaviors as a result of the fear of attachment. A lot of times that starts with taking a look in the mirror. What have you done to understand how your own childhood has impacted your life? The way that your parents treated you, that impact the way that you view the world. The incidences where somebody treated you badly and you didn't know how to cope. Can you respond? Can you reach back to that in your own mind and understand, like, before you had the skills to cope with things properly, how things kind of spin out of control? If you can go back to that and understand how far you've come from being a child not comprehending things and overreacting, and then multiply that times 10 with somebody who's consistently lived with those traumatic injuries, emotionally damaging injuries on a daily basis for the majority of their life, then you can kind of understand where they're coming from. But then it also gives you the opportunity to take a look at the mirror and say, what are the things in my life that might still be impacting the way that I respond to stressful situations? Because one of the biggest things that I've noticed that circles out of control with a young person who's experienced trauma in dealing with a parent, somebody who's well-intended, a foster parent or a volunteer or anyone, is they have these preconceived notions and expectations of what the relationship is going to be. And because I want to give this person love, it's going to be fine. And if you can break away from that and say, okay, well, maybe my reaction is actually perpetuating the situation instead of making them feel comfortable. And that reaction really goes back to your own ability to overcome your own trauma or stressful situations, or ability to cope with stressful situations.
So getting personal with it then a little bit, what was something in your own childhood? What were adults or situations or people that helped you? I heard you talk about self-sabotaging nature, and as an adoptive
Sure.
parent, I can see that probably in my own life, but also
Yeah.
in my kiddos' lives too. Just where it's a cycle where it's that self-sabotaging nature. Who are some people that helped you through your life, and what did that look like for them to help you?
Sure. So when I do my keynote, where I'm actually doing my whole life story and going in depth, I share some of those things because my most popular keynote is called Just One Person, and so I kind of talk about exactly what you're talking about. And if I were to give a dual example, where one situation where just one person made a really negative impact, as opposed to another person who made a really positive impact, and built that relationship. One was, I was on probation for stealing when I was 12, 13. And I went in to see my probation officer, and she just, like, she's seen it all before. She's been through the ringer. And so I did all of everything that I needed to do to finish my community service. I was ready to get signed off of probation. I went into the meeting, and my aunt took me in, and the probation officer said, "Yeah, you're all done." Then she looked directly at my aunt and said, "We'll see you back here in a couple of years. They usually come back." And that to me indicates stereotype,
Right.
judging, a lack of connecting, and really not. She's probably not taking care of herself. If she's so focused on just judging and stereotyping, then she's probably not happy with herself. So she's not responding appropriately in these stressful situations, right? And then on the opposite end of that spectrum was my 8th grade teacher, my 8th grade language arts teacher, by the name of Mrs. Ross. And all that she did as a teacher in my 8th grade year, is at the end of the year, she came up to me as I was walking out on the last day of school, and she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Travis, I just want you to know I feel like you've had a rough time, but I know that you're improving, and I'm really proud of the progress that you're doing, and I think that you're going to do great in high school." That is like recognizing, yeah, not everything's pretty, but you're a great person no matter what, and you're going to be successful because I believe in you. And then if I were to revert back in time a little bit further to the second foster home I ever went to, and or I can describe the 2 foster homes I was in. The first one was it was a home where there were 3 other boys that were all fostered, and we shared a room with mattresses spread out on the floor. The walls were cold white. Everything was just kind of stale. No decorations. Didn't feel warm. And the parents, when they talked to me, they didn't get down on my level. They didn't bend down and talk to me. They didn't take the time to explain things to me. They just expected that since they were taking care of me and they provided everything I needed, and that they were nice to me, that I should be fine. But in reality, I was in turmoil. My entire life had just changed in a matter of 24 hours. And so they didn't explain it to me. They didn't tell me who the social worker was, why things were happening the way they were. They didn't introduce me to everyone. They just kind of said, "Okay, here you go." And on the other end of that spectrum, the second foster home that I went to was an older lady that lived in a decent home, but it wasn't. It was just her presence that made the difference for me. When she met me, she knelt down on one knee and she looked me in my eyes. And when I didn't want to look at her in her eyes, she still smiled and didn't force herself into my space. Let me have my space. And if I didn't feel comfortable and moved away, she didn't take it personally. She didn't say, "Oh, you're fine. Come here. Come here." She said, "That's okay. I understand." And the one thing, she did was, instead of trying to pry in, she just said, if you ever want to talk about anything, I'm here to listen, and I don't judge about anything, so don't worry about it. And then she gave me a koala bear. And she said, I know you don't have all your stuff, so I got this for you, and I want you to have this to cuddle with in case you want to. And I know you might not feel comfortable giving me hugs, so you can give the koala bear hugs. And then when she saw me in distress, she recognized my facial expressions. I'm 9 years old, and I'm isolating myself because I don't know where I'm at, and I feel broken. And she could just kind of see my facial expression as I was thinking about certain things. She could tell I was thinking about my mom, or she could tell I was thinking about what had happened. And I was trying to fight back tears sometimes. And again, instead of trying to force me to talk about things, she just came over and she gently put her hand on my shoulder. But keep in mind, she didn't physically touch me until she had already built a bond with me where she could tell that I kind of trusted her. And that physical touch was as simple as a tap on the shoulder. And it was kind of like, is it okay that I do this? Is it okay that I am close to you? Is it okay that I comfort you? And I'd say that's probably one of the biggest ways where like that power of connection and just understanding where somebody's at, regardless of their behaviors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the resources that you have for people? I know that you do speaking engagements and it's not just for people in foster care agencies or different things like that. Can you tell us what go ahead, use this as a soapbox. Tell us what you got.
Well, appreciate you. So my biggest thing is I do speaking engagements for any type of professional development event for teachers, educators, social workers, child welfare professionals, juvenile justice professionals, judges, lawyers, CASA workers, foster parent associations. Those are all kind of my target audience for the speaking engagements that I do. But of course, I also do things for colleges and universities. I offer suicide prevention and awareness events specifically targeted for colleges and universities, helping them understand how to better connect in a college setting, especially related to the statistic that one research study found that 1 in 12 college students, as a result of these stressors of college life, school and work and family, has actually written down a suicide plan at one point or another, 1 in 12. Huh. So I've got a campaign created for that at stop1in12.org. And I even do concerts, like for youth events. I did I've done an evening celebration event for a graduation ceremony in Atlanta last year, where I emceed and hosted a talent show, and then did a positive concert for them. And my speaking and emceeing services also kind of go across the board, because I feel like any audience can really connect to stories of overcoming adversities and really working to achieve a happier, healthier, more successful life in all areas of life. And when I say all areas of life, I mean mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, balancing all of that out so you can be the best person you're meant to be for those closest to you. And work towards achieving a higher level of your own dreams and vision for what your life is supposed to be.
Right. And let me stop you right there, because one thing I think I saw on your website is that you had actually spoken to, that's why it was so appealing to me too. And because I've never seen this before, but you were actually talking to people that are caring for these kiddos and telling them how to live their life better so they can care for the kiddos.
Yeah. And that's kind of the undertone of my most popular keynote, Just One Person, where I work to connect them with, hey, this is what it felt like to be a foster kid. This is what it was like going through X, Y, and Z. This is what it was like when that probation officer impacted me And this is what it takes to be able to connect. But you can't connect until you're taking care of yourself. You can't understand where other people are coming from until you understand where you're coming from, and you do it on a higher level, because most people are sleepwalking. Most people are just surviving. Most people are just getting by and dealing with limited resources, limited time, and not understanding that they have control over who they are and how they're supposed to be in the world.
If someone's watching this and they want to get behind what you're doing, they want to listen to your music more, you actually, I haven't talked about it on purpose. You have a book that's out, because I'd like to devote an actual section to our website to review the book. How can people find all these things? How can they purchase them? What do they need to do to get behind you?
Sure. So the most important thing I would say is please join my email list. You can visit www.travisloyd.net, TravisLloyd, and sign up on the email form anywhere on there, just to be updated on any of the things that I'm doing. And I'm developing content that is inspirational to help people just kind of be re-inspired in the work that they do on a regular basis. And then you can also go to www.overcomingemotionaltrauma.com, where you can see information and reviews on the book, because my book title is Overcoming Emotional Trauma, Life Beyond Survival Mode. And on there is also a video that's called The Impact of Trauma. It's a short, quick video that helps people in kind of layman's terms understand the impact of trauma on our psyche and our behaviors. In addition to that, so I'm always posting on social media, and I share my journeys in photos from my travels on social media. And as far as other videos and resources, it's all linked through either one of those websites, TravisLloyd.net or OvercomingEmotionalTrauma.com.
Fantastic. Well, Travis, I think that's going to wrap up our time here for now. Is there anything that you wanted to throw out there to everyone, or?
No, I really appreciate you having me on. It's always fun to be able to connect with other people that are making a difference in this realm of things for young people all over the country. And I just hope that people do connect with me and check out the book. I really think it can be life-changing, especially for foster parents and especially for new or potential foster parents.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Travis. I hope everyone that's watching, I'm actually going to talk with you a little bit after I stop broadcast here. I want to thank everyone for watching. If you need to go to TravisLloyd.net and you need to connect with Travis and what he's doing, because if you didn't hear from all of this, he has been through this, he's lived through this, and I hear the phrase said a lot, someone's a jack of many trades, a master of none. Well, he's mastering all that he's setting his mind to. An amazing individual that is going to be an amazing resource and tool for you raising your foster or adoptive kids. So appreciate having you on, Travis, again. Please visit our website for blogs and more info. Again, my name is Darren Fink, and I'm with Transfiguring Adoption. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.